host of Spittin' Chicklets, and also analyst on TNT. Ladies and gentlemen, Biz Nasty, Paul Bissonnette.
Yeah, Biz.
How you doing?
What's up to the whole crew? Boston Connor, how we doing, baby?
I'm feeling.
Let's get a vibe check on Boston Connor.
Vibes are good, Biz. Don't you worry about it, pal. Okay, we're feeling just fine.
That's not true. He was screaming.
The tone has changed.
Yeah,
the tone has changed a bit.
All right, you want to be honest? This sucks. Hockey sucks. This is why sports suck. I don't want to be doing this. This should have been over a long time ago. It's absolute horse crud that this stupid series is still going on. So yeah, that's where the vibes are at. But that doesn't mean they're bad vibes. They're still good vibes. They're pissed off vibes. It doesn't mean they're bad vibes.
Okay, yeah, some people can be pissed off.
I appreciate your honesty.
Shut up!
Some people can be positive pissed off, but I don't think that's how Connor operates at all. Literally, right before we go live, I go, okay, we got to cover the Pat Beverly being an asshole thing, and then we're getting right into Biz, and he screams, I hate hockey, literally as the countdown's going on there, because this looked like it was all said and done.
Yeah.
Seemingly all said and done. 3-1, here we go. The boys are rolling. Marchand is even saying this thing's done in 5. You kept going. Go ahead.
Hey, so I got to correct you there. So he was going by the bench, and it sounded like like when you looked at his lips, it looked like he melded that. He was saying that there was 35 left on the clock. Like that game wasn't over.
Okay.
Let's dial it in. So Sportsnet actually sent that tweet out, and then it popped off, obviously. And then I think people corrected them. So by the time that they took it down, the damage had been done. I ran with the story because I was loving it. You're trying to use it as bulletin board material, but he was just trying to keep his guys aware on the bench.
Okay.
Yo, we're not out of the woods yet. We got 35 left on the clock. Crazier things have happened as we've seen this playoffs because Carolina Hurricanes got 2 goals in 9 seconds and then beat their own record in 8 seconds. That happened in the first round. So you got to be careful in hockey.
Okay, so that's a nice little piece of journalism right there, Biz. Nobody's going to give you credit for it. That was good journalism, what you just did right there. You seemingly had a belief, though, in when this whole thing started, when you and Connor were yelling at each other, you said this team's built different, we're bigger, we're stronger. Has that been the case and why they've been able to bring this back to a 3-3 series, or what do you think this is because of?
Well, they're just not one-dimensional anymore where they can play that defensive game, and it seems like over the past few, they've really shut things down. Keep in mind, like they haven't played a full game yet with the core 4, which is John Tavares, Mitch Marner, William Nylander, and Austin Matthews. That's Nylander right there. He missed the first 3 games, and he hadn't done anything. He didn't have a point in the series.
Lucky goal.
He hadn't scored in his last 13 games. Not crazy about the goal either, Boston Connor. If I'm a Boston fan, McAvoy's either got to get the screen or the block or get out of the way. But nonetheless, he came up big. But the fact that they were able to adjust their game, play a defensive style, and play that 2-1 type of mindset in back-to-back games, it's a testament to the deadline deals that Brad Treliving made and the rest of the guys in the lineup that, like I said, they're used to playing that run and gun. They tightened the ship up, and they squeaked a few out. It wasn't pretty, but they got it done. Okay,
do you think that this Game 7 is, like, can Boston stop the momentum? What is the hockey momentum like? Because obviously down 3-1, 2-3-3, you think to yourself, well, it seems like the Maple Leafs are the wagon here. Can Boston, obviously, with how much power they have, stop this? Or is this seemingly a Toronto series all of a sudden?
I don't know, man. Watching the post-game press conference with Jim Montgomery, they just seem a little bit rattled.
Oh, no.
Connor, did he not look fidgety with his hands?
He didn't look happy, Biz. He didn't look happy. He looked pissed off, and yes, it did seem as though he's on edge.
I don't understand why they made lineup changes also in Game 5, where they took out Shattenkirk and Beecher.
Oh, no.
And sometimes that throws off the feng shui. And then obviously they went back to those guys in Game 6 where but the other thing too is the egg they laid in Game 5, Montgomery and the team, they wanted to be pissed off. They wanted to act pissed off as opposed to just letting it go. So it's almost like they took that disappointment from Game 5 into Game 6. You can listen to the post-game press conferences after Game 5. You could see them walking in the tunnel. And just like in Game 5 and Game 6, I think they only had a few shots in the first period. They came out completely flat. They did so at home and then on the road in Toronto where the pressure's off. You don't have your own home crowd. So you go on the road, it's a little bit easier, right? You got the hotel, you're away from your wife and kids. You could focus on the task at hand, right? Not to say that those are a distraction.
No.
It's just you ask any married guys when you go on the road, it's nice. You get to the hotel, you shut the brain off, and you worry about the hockey at hand. So I don't know what's happening with them. They've lost their offense. Another thing, too, is Max Domi, who's had to fill in for Austin Matthews, who he has played center in the past. In Game 5, he went 85% in the faceoff circle against two guys who've been taking draws all year, Boston Connor. What's going on with Zaka and Coyle at the first and second line?
You guys are dead. We're panicking. We're changing lines. We're doing this. We can't score anymore. We got wingers beating us at faceoffs. This is that. What the
thing to do in hockey is go up against a guy that never does face-offs. Everyone knows that in the league. If you're Coyle, if you're any of those guys,
his timing,
it's a nightmare because hey, there's no teach tape on this guy, and everyone knows the Bruins are in the lab at all times when it comes to tape. But Biz, when it comes to the Bruins, if we're just talking goalies here, obviously Swayman, I feel like anybody watching isn't thinking, hey, Swayman's the problem. Guy's been standing on his head, and the Bruins have just let him down. But because of these lineup changes that you just mentioned, do you think there's any shot that they do even consider putting Ullmark in because of the fact that they've lost a couple straight, obviously, but also do you think he thinks about last year how they put Swayman in after Ullmark played, those first 6 games and kind of coming off cold and that didn't work out well?
It would be a classic overthink, and I do believe there is a small possibility they go to Ullmark. I think if they do so, they're crazy because Swayman has been tremendous. His numbers against the Leaf are tremendous. He's impossible to beat downstairs. So as long as you get the box outs and the net front coverage, and then like the block, like I mentioned, where McAvoy probably should have blocked that and/or got it away, you got to go back to Swayman. But Montgomery's a bit unpredictable with this stuff, so who knows? So it's going to be a nail biter all the way up to the puck drop, and I don't know what his lineup decisions will be. But the good news with the Leafs is it looks potentially like Matthews would be ready to go, where they can get their dog back. Listen, to fill Max Domi in at the center ice position for a few games when you're not used to it going against other teams' top lines, he's done an incredible job. It just sometimes get a little bit difficult from a sustainability aspect. Like he just said, you start watching tape, you start seeing his tendencies, you start maybe getting his timing off on the faceoffs. But either way, man, it's going to be an epic Game 7. And even Oz the Mentalist predicted that the Leafs were going to win this series in comeback fashion. He predicted a shutout in Game 6. But
didn't happen.
Right.
Scored late. Well, with half a second left.
0.01. Pretty good gut instincts, if you ask me. And he's got everything right about this series up until now, bang on. So let's hope we can pull through.
Hey, what's going on with Austin? Why did Willie miss his first 3 games?
So people are saying it's potentially MCL for Austin Matthews on a McAvoy hit when he hit him and then they fell back together and it looked like his leg got caught. Yeah. And the way it opened up, like I've messed my MCLs up a few times, like between a 1st degree and a 3rd degree all the way. So hopefully he skated for 30 minutes though, and he looked pretty good. So hopefully it's a minor MCL sprain. If that's the case, other people are saying that he had an illness and maybe even food poisoning. And he got that game that he played, he got rocked, where maybe he's dealing with concussion-like symptoms. So there's a lot of rumor mill things flying around. There's nothing official. This is the hit that they're saying maybe he tweaked his knee. See there on his right leg where the MCL would have opened up.
Good hit.
That's a hip drop.
Yeah, good hit.
Hey, it's a battle. That's how that happens in the playoffs. And I mean, as a Leafs fan, I'm not going to complain. If it is an MCL, the power play for Toronto's been rubbish. They're at, I think, 5% for the series. They've only scored 1 power play goal, and I think they've had 20 chances now. So 5%, good math by me, the mentalist back. If I'm Toronto,
Biz the mathematist, yeah.
If I'm Toronto, I would potentially take out a 4th liner if you could put him in just to amplify power play and maybe play limited minutes. And I say this based on the game, the practice tape I saw from the other day where he skated for 30 minutes and he was doing drills that I can't even do if I had my good knees. So I don't understand why he's still in the lineup, but the soap opera, which is the Toronto Maple Leafs, continues. It's nonstop drama. They had Marner not playing well. They had no Nylander, no Matthews. They need the core 4 to assemble like the Avengers in Game 7 and dummy Boston Connor and all the rest of those jock sniffers at the Garden.
Down it. 4 Canadian horsemen taking their talent to Boston for a Game 7 tomorrow. Yeah, there it is.
See what happens.
Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Bissonnette. Thank you, Biz.